Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for coming today. It's nice and air conditioned in here, which we love. It's only going to be a cool 104 or something today. Welcome to another edition of the Savvy Seniors Living Seminars, now in our 8th year. So we have decided, yes, we will continue next year and bring you even more educational opportunities. I would just love, we love to hear from you. So you have your evaluations. I'd love you, as we're going through today, to jot down maybe top 2 or 3 topics that you would love us to present on. I don't do so much in the way of fall prevention, and we don't do a lot of health-related things, because that to me is more like your Kaiser, your John Muir seminars. But what would you like to know from this series? I'd love to know about that from you. It will continue to be the first Wednesday of every month. Will continue to be 10 to 11:30. So that you can count on. You can calendar it, and you'll know where to be every month. So with that, I will introduce myself. Out of curiosity, how many people are here for the very first time? Well, welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Newbies, we call you newbies, and then we hope that you will eventually become groupies. We have our groupies, and we love them so much. Today, we have a very special panel of experts here to share all their knowledge and wisdom, their experience in everything to do with 55, 65 plus living options. And there are so many these days. Very different than when, for instance, maybe our parents or our grandparents were looking for answers as to where they might move someday if they needed to. There was like 2 options. You stayed at home or you went to a nursing home. That was about it, or you moved in with family, right? So let's, couple things. If you need to use the restroom, powder your nose. It's right out that door. Turn right, turn left. You'll go right there. Feel free to get up. We're casual here. We're all friends. Just an FYI, in November, the topic is, what is a professional fiduciary, and will I need one? So that is coming up on November 6th, and December 4th, to wrap up the year, is Aging in Place, aka we're staying put, housing matters. And we're going to talk about how you craft that into your short and long-term plans, what that looks like, what do you need to do to be prepared for that. So that is coming up as well. Let's see, what else? I guess I'll start with, the whole purpose and mission of the seminar series is to engage, educate, and empower all of you so that you have the right information. You get the truth, you get the facts. Sometimes we talk about hard things here. Sometimes we just have a lot of goofy fun. But we just want to educate so that you can make the right decisions for yourself. No one else can make those decisions for you but you. So that is sort of our mission here, and we're just glad that you've joined us today. So I'm going to introduce myself. If you don't know me, for the newbies, I'm Dayna Wilson. I'm a seniors real estate specialist, certified senior housing professional. I'm a realtor with Keller Williams Realty here in the East Bay. Got my license in 2006, grew up in Moraga, went to Camp Linda, went to Cal Berkeley, and I'm still here. And love what I do, and I soon decided that I can't be everything to everyone, so who are the people I like to hang out with? And I say boomers and betters. Those are my people. So I started this seminar series in 2017 because I kept hearing clients or potential clients telling me information that they had learned that was wrong, and I wanted them to make sure they were getting the right information. So With that, I'm just going to go down the row here and ask all these lovely people to introduce themselves, maybe tell us what they do, where they work, how they got into that industry, and then we'll get into the meat and potatoes of it as we move on. So Jenny, who are you?
Good morning. Good morning, Dayna. Good morning, everybody. It's so nice to see so many of your familiar faces and new ones. So I'm Jenny Shively. I am the marketing and leasing director at the Heritage Downtown Independent Senior Living Apartments. I've been there about 13 years. I've pretty much moved everybody in there, and it's been just wonderful to help seniors and their families make their decisions and find their beautiful new home at Heritage. The things that you'll notice when you first schedule a visit and come to the Heritage Downtown for a tour, you'll immediately notice it feels that independent living feels very active. Residents are doing their thing, whatever that is, every day, whether they're enjoying the activities, the fitness programs, heading out, doing their volunteer work downtown.
But Jenny, we're gonna tell them that in the day of the life. We just wanted to know who you are. And what did you do before you worked there? You can share a mic if you need to.
Okay. Can you hear me okay? Okay. My degree is in gerontology. I have a bachelor's degree in gerontology. Wow. So I've been working in the industry for about 30 years.
Wow,
yeah,
that's awesome. Very impressive.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Barbara, who are you?
Hello, good morning. My name's Barbara Gilbert. I am the marketing director at Stone Ridge Creek in Pleasanton and also at the Glennet Heather Farm in Walnut Creek. I've been at Stone Ridge Creek. I just had my 17-year anniversary, which is a little bit weird because the community only opened 11 years ago. So you start marketing these projects long before they open. And that's where I'm at with the Walnut Creek project right now, which has not yet opened. We've got a couple years to go on that one. What brought me to the industry, I had some major life changes about 20 years ago and wanted to have a job where I didn't travel and stay local and serve seniors. That's me.
Megan.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. My name is Megan Molo. I work at CareQuest as a clinical coordinator for a free service that identifies independent livings, assisted livings, memory cares, and board and cares for our clients. I started out in the skilled nursing facility industry as an admissions coordinator and as a discharge planner. And I furthered my education and I got my master's in healthcare administration. I ended up interning at Zuckerberg Hospital in the budgeting department, and I found that I was looking at numbers on Excel sheets, and I was wondering to myself, who are the individuals behind these numbers? I worked at CareQuest, and I'm happy to be here and very grateful and honored to be listening to my clients' stories and to be the matchmaker of finding assisted livings and memory cares in all of these communities to help strengthen and empower you to make the best decision that you can. So thank you for being here.
Nice, thank you. Patty.
Good morning. Good morning. It's green. It's green. I'm talking.
All right, we're sharing another mic. Put the bad ones away.
Okay. Good morning. That one works. Good morning. I'm Patty Baird. I am the executive director of Tiffany Court Assisted Living here in Walnut Creek, and I have been there since 2001. I've actually been in the assisted living business since I was 14. My first job out in high school, my first work permit. My mom ran a community. She just started running an assisted living community when I turned 14. And I had volunteered at Kaiser Hospital with her when she worked there for years. And I loved going to work with my mom. And luckily, I loved working with seniors. I loved going to work at the assisted living. It never felt like work. So I actually worked there through high school and through college. Many different ones. I followed her around. And after college, I decided I'd be a banker, and I worked in finance for a while. Met my husband, long time ago, and I miss senior living so much that I ended up getting my license, and I started working for the same company as my mother, and ended up taking over her building. She moved on to another building. And I've been here, that was in Southern California, and John and I moved up into the Bay Area in 2001 after we got married, and found Tiffany Court, and I fell in love, and I've been there ever since. They'll have to drag me out of there.
Or you can move in.
Diana.
Good morning. My name is Diana Bruca, and I am the marketing director at Aegis Senior Living in Pleasant Hill. My background is a little diverse. I have a passion for protecting people. My degree is in healthcare management, and I started out in the assisted living community, and then I went on to have a very long career in global security. And then when I started to look back at what I'm going to do for the last part of my life, I wanted something that was heartful and purposeful, and something that combined my passion of helping people and protecting people. And at that time, right when I was having those thoughts, Aegis Living reached out to me and started talking to me about coming and working for them. And I made the decision to come back. It's been the best decision. I love supporting people and creating environments where people can continue to thrive and enhance their daily lives. So I've been back in this industry for just about a year next week, and it's been the best, one of the best years of my life. So I'm very happy to be here today.
These guys are rock stars in senior living communities, I'm telling you. I mean, look at the length of time that they have been doing what they do. That's very impressive. So again, we appreciate your time. I did a little stint working in high school, also at the skilled nursing home in Ream Valley in Moraga. And then I volunteered as a candy striper at Alta Bates in college. So I think yeah. Okay, so we're gonna get to some questions for these people. And we're gonna start with a little story. Well, actually, I'll just share that there are more adult 55 plus living options today than ever before. And frankly, with the internet, there's more information available. Yet with so many options and so many choices, it can become overwhelming, like so many things when you're starting to look on the World Wide Web. And it's hard to know what amenities and care each offer. I have clients sometimes say, well, we're starting to look at places and we've seen 10 so far, and I just cringe because they're wasting their time and their energy not even knowing if these visits to these places, if these places would even be a fit for them. So a lot more goes into where you would look and where a good fit would be. Besides, gosh, it's, within 5 miles from my house or 10 miles from my house. So we're trying to help people create their right sizing plans. And these people want to be proactive planners. They want to understand what moving to a smaller, more easily managed home might look like and how that could be done. So some choose to make their own tour plans, like I just said. Some get connected with communities through me. Some go directly, to the communities, and others work with a senior living advisor to help them narrow the search. So, Jenny, I was working with a couple called David and Lynn, and they were these proactive planners. They wanted to go look at all these different communities, but they'd been talking about their future, and they wanted to be proactive, and they wanted to be the one to choose when they would make a move and who might be able to help them. And so I was talking to them, and they thought the first place that they should go would be to check out an independent living community. So I'm just wondering, if they came to an independent living community, what would they see? What would it offer? And what would the pros be and maybe cons compared to their home? Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Dayna. And I sort of jumped the gun earlier, but I'll get back into this conversation. So when seniors like to tour independent living, and usually the reason they just want and the amenities. They don't want a home ownership. They like this independent lifestyle, but with amenities and options. So when they come to tour at an independent living, such as Heritage, they'll immediately see that it's very active. They will come and they'll see common areas like the lobby and the concierge desk and on-site restaurant and fitness programs and pool. And they'll notice the apartments are a bit more geared towards independent seniors. They have full kitchens, they have washers and dryers. So it's independent living with all the amenities included. Independent living is a wonderful niche where it's still so home-like, but all of those amenities and a supportive environment are available to you if you would like those things. If they want to have their meals in the restaurant, they can. If not, they're welcome to make their meals in their apartments and just keep up. We really want our residents to enjoy their active lifestyles, whatever that means to them. So they'll be our residents. They're doing their own thing every day. They go to the meals. They'll go to activities, or they're going off site. They're going to volunteer at the hospital and the library, and they're visiting family, and they're doing what they would like. And then there are just so many on-site activities as well. Also about independent living, it can be as independent as you like, but also independent living is about options and choices. And so it's nice that our residents, independent senior living residents, they can create their own life plan, if you will. They can choose which, if needed later down the road, if they need care companies, they have options and choices, and it's not a one-size-fits-all type of arrangement. They can use the care company that we're partnered with for any services. They can bring in their own. Hospice comes into our community. And what's beautiful about it is in independent living, we're not moving residents to another floor or another building when they start using any sort of care services. That is their home. They're staying in their home. And so it feels very home-like without all the moving to different buildings and different floors. So again, it's all about choices and options.
So could David and Lynn, do they have a parking spot at independent communities?
Right. Yes.
Can they bring their pets? How does that work?
Yes, independent living communities and like Heritage, we're pet friendly due to the setup and the location. It's very easy to walk your pets in the neighborhood or downtown or around the property. Parking spaces are included. Most or many of our residents drive, and they are welcome to bring their cars, and they're also welcome to use our van service, which is available daily.
And do they pay for, are the meals part of their base pay, or do they pay in addition?
It's a monthly rental. Independent living is a monthly rental community, all amenities included. So included in their monthly rent are all the amenities, like the parking space, the dining plans. Everything is included in that. Again, they don't have to use that dining plan, but it's available to them.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Awesome. So what would you say, Jenny, are the top 3 reasons that a person would move out of their home and move to an independent community?
Yeah, easily. The top 3 reasons is they don't want to be homeowners anymore. They don't want to buy one more roof or fix the swimming pool one more time. They are just ready to simplify that. So they move to Heritage or independent living or Heritage, where all those things are taken care of for them. I would say the second reason would be closer to family. They like to be near their adult children at this time. The third would be for all the amenities. They don't want to live home alone anymore or feeling isolated in wherever their longtime home has been. They like to move and be part of a community and with friends and activities.
And what I love and what people tell me is, excuse me, They're just, I mean, I feel like this too. I get so tired of having to go to the store, shop,
Right.
fix a meal, and then do the dishes. I hate doing dishes. Now you know more about me. I wouldn't have to do that at an independent community, would I?
Exactly. No more shopping or cooking. And I've heard that a lot. I've had a lot of residents move in from Rossmore and in this La Miranda area, and they're saying, you know, well, I just make a peanut butter sandwich every night because it's just me and I don't want to cook or shop. So then all these things are available, and our residents start eating much better, and their doctor's reports are better, and all those things.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. So obviously assisted living is another choice to consider. And I'm going to ask Patty to kind of dig in more about what additional types of things they would find, especially David and Lynn. What would they find at an assisted living that would be different than an independent living? And maybe talk a little bit about that. You know, just to keep sharing.
Okay, yes? Take it away. I thought it was me, so I try it one more time. I don't quit easily. Okay, so assisted living is very similar to independent living. Our goal also is to keep our residents as independent as possible. And the reason we call them residents is that assisted living is a home-like environment. It's not a medical environment. People often confuse assisted living with skilled nursing, which we'll review later, Megan. And so assisted living is licensed by the state of California. We have certain laws and regulations we have to follow. We get inspected every year. It's a consumer-driven program by the state, and the state has a 24-hour helpline, complaint line. I don't know if they get many compliments, but they have a 24-hour line for the consumer. We have minimal training requirements for our staff. Most of us try to exceed that. And the training is more awareness of how to identify issues with our consumers, with our customers. It's, again, not a medical program, but we have signs and symptoms. Like today, it's a really hot day, and a lot of my seniors love to go outside and sit in the heat. And we're there for the reminders, hey, you don't look that great. We know the signs and symptoms of dehydration. Probably couldn't treat it that well. I would call 911, but we're able to assist people with things like that. Assisted living, we have 3 meals a day, designed by dietitians. We have care programs. Not everybody uses our care programs, but many people choose assisted living because they may have an illness or a concern that later they may need them and they don't want to move again. They don't want to search for their own care. They'll already know the caregivers that are with us at the assisted living, and they can utilize those services when needed. So again, it's just because we have services, not everybody uses the services of the assisted living. We also have a lot of pets. It's home, so you want to bring your own things, your own furniture, your own decor, your animals if you need to. It's also month to month. A lot of us have a community fee. Again, the fees and services schedule that we have is regulated by the state of California. We all use the same forms, contracts. Although we might have different amenities, we are all licensed to do the same thing, whether we're little 6 beds, the little houses that you see on the corner, or great big 300 unit communities. We are all licensed to do exactly the same thing. And I think that's a misconception out there. I hope that helped a little bit.
And then were you going to talk about the difference? No, that's going to come up later, I guess. We're going to talk about different levels of care versus points, right? So we're going to wait for that. Okay, perfect. The expert coming up. All right, perfect. So now we're going to ask Dayna to talk about, well, my question is, do all assisted living communities offer memory care? And then in memory care, what is offered? And do most folks transition from assisted or home to memory care. And my big question is, why don't they all offer memory care, right? Because if you're a couple and maybe one is much more independent and maybe the other spouse is having some cognitive issues, you kind of want to stay in the same place. So take it away, Diane.
Yep, all great questions, Dayna. Thank you. So let's talk about, most assisted living communities will have a memory care component as well. When a community decides not to have, or you find that they don't have a memory care, it's typically based on space, like do they have the space where they are to have a secure unit, and then also training and staffing. So most assisted livings who offer memory care, everybody is trained to some level, right, in caring for our residents who have a cognitive deficit. And then the staff that is dedicated to those residents can do in-depth and ongoing training as well, based on the Title 22 and some regulations that we all abide by. So if you don't have the capacity, either the space or the time or the team to do that, then you will not see that memory care component in the assisted living community. Now, when you have a scenario that Dayna just brought up, where a couple is moving into a community, one of the most important things to remember that in a lot of communities, a diagnosis does not necessarily mean that you have to be in memory care. A diagnosis just means that we are aware that there is a deficit, that the family is aware, the doctors and wherever they are that they're living, right? What we're looking for when someone moves into our community, on whether they can stay on the assisted living community or in one of our life's neighborhoods, which is our memory care, is are they exit seeking? Are you trying to leave the building continuously? Are you a danger to yourself or others? Not on purpose, just brought up by the disease, right? And also, where are you in your journey that could your dignity be impacted by still being in an assisted living community as opposed to in the memory care? So those are the things that we look at when you're moving into a community. And if you move into a community with your spouse and one of you has a cognitive deficit and the other one does not, remember that memory care does not mean you have to stay in that area. It means you are safest in that area. So it does mean also that people, your spouse, can go in and visit you. They can have meals with you. If it's safe, you can go into the community with them as well.
Are you hearing her okay? You speak faster than I do.
I'm from the East Coast originally, and
That
is
explains
an East
so
Coast
much.
thing. So just raise your hand if I'm going too fast. You won't hurt my
I'm just trying to keep up. I don't know. Okay, so what would disqualify someone from assisted living? What needs might they have that would require them to either move out of assisted living or not be able to move in to begin with?
Okay, and you might want to jump in, so just pinch me. Okay, so I often see people that wait too long to move into assisted living. Once your medical needs are greater or unstable, we really can't handle the medical component. So if somebody has blood pressure that it needs to be constantly monitored by a nurse and the medication needs to be changed, or if you develop a wound, we have licensed regulations that we can't have anybody with a stage 3 or 4 wound. Superficial wounds are absolutely fine. But anything that requires a nurse to actually treat or monitor is something that assisted living is not supposed to handle. We do a lot of hospice care, and we love doing, I don't speak for myself, but hospice is something that we really enjoy. And the state gives us some graces when somebody is on hospice because they are in their home already. And the goal is to have everyone remain in their home till the very end. I personally have had someone stay for 24 years. So obviously, after 24 years, you may need hospice services. There are some graces that you can have an advanced wound because the body is doing things that are unexpected. But medical needs, so don't wait too long. Don't wait till there's a crisis. Emotionally, if someone needs constant redirecting, they're wandering in and out of other people, of their room, into other people's rooms. If they're exit seeking, obviously wouldn't be safe. You don't want to find somebody on the street wandering around, especially say on a day like today when it's so hot. It could be deadly. If advanced Alzheimer's and dementia care, as Dayna was saying, there are special assisted living communities for that very purpose, to keep those residents safe and not, you hear things on the news, but not drinking the wrong fluid, not exposed to toiletries that they might cut themselves, hurt themselves. So those are probably the top 3 reasons that someone would need a safer environment than assisted living.
Because I have had clients get to that point and then it's too late. And
It's
actually,
too
my
late.
mother was one of them. It was too late. She waited too long and she needed too much help.
We always say you don't want to wait till there's a crisis. And I
Exactly.
think it's great that you do these seminars so you can prepare and start looking.
That's what we're trying to do here. Short and long-term plans. You're going to go home. I pledge to go home today and start my short and long-term plans. All right. Thank you for pledging that. Okay. All right. Diana. No. Megan. I wanted to ask Megan. Pricing. Okay. There's so many different ways that different communities price their services, right? There's levels, there's tiers, I don't even know what. There's community fees. What, you take it away.
Okay.
All right.
So in assisted livings, memory cares, and board and cares, there's a difference between rent and care. Rent covers the room, it covers laundry, housekeeping, transportation if they have it, meals and snacks. And then plus care means that it's an addition on top of rent. Usually plus care is determined by a physician's report. And I actually printed out a QR code so that you have a link to, at the CareQuest table in the back, of a physician's report, because that is needed before moving into an assisted living, memory care, or board and care. Those care fees are in addition to rent. Usually those care fees will range between as low as $0 if you do not need care, or it can go up to $4,000. But it's dependent on the physician's report that is completed prior to moving into an assisted living, memory care, or a board and care. Now, in regards to rent, a shared room is usually $4,000 to $6,000. A studio is between $5,000 to $7,000. 1 bedrooms are between $6,000 to $8,000, and 2 bedrooms are between $7,000 to $10,000. And these rooms and these ranges are very similar to real estate, because depending on the view of the room, do they have like a nice oak tree that you're looking at? Does it have a nice view of a courtyard? Things like that make the room more appealing, which makes it more expensive. Is it at the end of a hall? Is it closer to the dining room? That is what may range a room of how expensive it can be or how less expensive it can be.
And then the tiers versus points. What is most common, and what does that mean to people? We explain what the tiers. Yeah.
So each community might have their own point or a la carte, like a menu, right? Like at a restaurant. For example, assisting with showers, or assisting going to the bathroom, or assisting to go to the dining room equates to certain points or a certain a la carte menu of how much it will be for the caregiver to take care of you. And depending on the community, they have a point system or an a la carte system. There is also something called an entry fee or a community fee. A community fee differs from community to community because it can be used differently. It can be used to turn over the room. for administration fees for paperwork or to paint the room, to install whatever it may be in the room. Every community is different in regards to that. So that community fee can range between as low as $5,000 and it can go all the way up to $12,000.
And that's a one-time
It's
move-in
a one-
fee.
yes, it's a
And my
one-time.
understanding is, if you move in and, 45 days later, this isn't right for me, you can hightail it back home and you get maybe a prorated return. Oh, these darn things.
Yes, it's a state formula. We all have the same formula that we have to follow. It's your community fee minus 80%, minus 60%, minus 4. After the first 90 days, it is not refundable.
Got it. That's what I thought. Thank you. That's helpful to know. Yeah, perfect. All right. Thank you, Megan, for explaining all that to us. And then real briefly, Diana, how is assisted living, and again, assisted living, most often financed? How do we pay for assisted living?
So assisted living typically is going to be private pay. So there are some long-term care policies. If you have a long-term care policy, they will pay for your stay as well. However, it's really important to know that no two long-term care policies are created the same. So it's really important to have somebody look that over. Some of them have caps, an annual cap or a daily, monthly cap. So you really need to understand your long-term care policy. In addition to the private pay and the long-term care policy, there are also veterans benefits, okay? And people can qualify for a veteran's benefit either by the veteran themselves or the spouse of the veteran. And there are some qualifying characteristics such as were they in the military during an active war? And then there are certain wars that are covered, obviously WW1 and 2, the Korean War, Vietnam, Persian Gulf. And if you were enlisted at least during a 90-day period, I believe, during that time, then you will be eligible, can be eligible for the veterans benefits. And it can range anywhere from $2,000 to $3,600, depending on if it's an individual or the surviving spouse or a couple. So there are a few different ways to pay for assisted living.
And then Medicare, does that
We were
help
going
at
to
all?
talk about that.
Does
That's
that do
right.
anything for us?
Let's just get that out of the way. There's no Medicare that will pay for assisted living. Those are typically going to pay for your alternate care facilities, which are going to be your hospitals, your skilled nursing, your rehab facilities, but they will not pay to be in assisted living.
Brother. And then before benefits kick in for a long-term care, let's say, don't you have to wait 90
Good
days
point.
or something?
It's typically, in most places, 90 days. It is retroactive. They also, for the veterans benefit, I'm glad you brought that up, you have to have selected and be in a community before those benefits are approved and kicked in. So that is something that you need to also keep in mind if you're applying it for them. We have some brochures in the back for a company called Patriot Angels that will help you navigate that tedious system.
Nice.
And it's a free service. That's right. Nobody can charge for that. Nobody can charge for helping a veteran or their spouse or their family members explore the benefits. And
I've had
That's right.
clients that needed to get moved. They had to get moved immediately for health reasons. And yet all the money they had was still tied up in the home. Like we had to get that home sold. So how do we get them from point A to point B and paying for their care and their new place? I do work with a group that does offer bridge financing. It's different than a bridge loan where if you, for instance, I'm working with a dear couple right now. They want to move from Clayton and they want to move to Rossmore. And they want to find their place first because they don't want to be homeless. They want to find their place first, move in, and then sell their home. So that would be, in their case, bridge financing is not going to work. But typically, that's a bridge loan. It buys the second home while you sell the first home. It's bridging that gap. But this company offers bridge financing so that they will start paying for your fees, your community fees, get you where you need to be with the care and the, the amenities and things that you need and want. And then I have a year to sell the home. So it's a great tool for the right person. I had another client that was selling their huge home in Concord. They didn't even have the money to pay for the mover. So we had to get really creative, but we made it happen. So just good to know. Again, if you're in a situation, just call me. If I can help you, I'm going to get you connected to the right people and get you started there. So thank you for that information. Barbara. Okay, we're going back to David and Lynn because they've been on a quest. And they're like real people because they want to know, there are these people that want to know everything about all their options. They're very detail oriented. You know the type, they keep spreadsheets. They're dated, who they talk to, what they liked, what they didn't like. So they think they've pretty much learned everything they needed to know about independent and assisted. And now they're thinking, but wait a minute, I see these signs, I see these ads, I see these lunches being hosted about CCRC. What the heck is that? And how is that different than the things we've learned already? Take it away. You're our expert.
I'll bring it home.
Bring it on home.
So a CCRC is actually, the technical name is Continuing Care Retirement Community. That's what that stands for. The industry has actually migrated now to a term called Life Plan Community, which most of us probably on the marketing side of the table like so much better. Because what it really is about for this couple to create a plan. CCRCs or life plan communities like Stonebridge Creek or the Glen at Heather Farm, or there are others, they're not all created the same. But what they're basically saying is they are offering more than one level of care in one place. So for example, all of these things that we've talked about today are all available on the same campus at a life plan community like Stonebridge Creek. The caveat there is you have to move in while you are still independent. And provided that you do that, then once you move in, you have all of these amenities. CCRCs tend to be a little bit larger campuses. So for example, at Stonebridge Creek, we're on 50 acres. So it's large. There's multiple restaurants, amenities for these independent living folks. But over time, if they need that assisted living support or memory care or skilled nursing, that's available on the same campus and the cost is included. So these deviations that we're talking about is how funds tend to change as you need more care. This pre-planning method allows you pay a larger sum up front. It's largely repayable back to you. You pay a monthly service fee. But over time, if you do need that higher level of care, that fee that you've been paying per month is inclusive of that care. Yeah.
Well, and I'm gonna debate you on the large campuses because there are CCRCs that are local, that are in high-rise downtown buildings in Oakland or San Francisco.
And that's true.
Yeah.
They're not all created the same. So
Right.
again, as I would encourage you to look at lots of options
Right.
and see where you feel the most comfortable and what makes the most sense for you.
Yeah. A cruise ship on land.
Yeah. I mean, dog parks, all of that. Just kind of as everyone here was talking, I was remembering there has been, in the last 6 months, there was a study that was done, I think, at Harvard, and it said that loneliness is as bad for seniors as the equivalent of smoking a pack of cigarettes every day. And that's just hugely impactful because I think that it's harder on the marketing side of the table to talk about that because nobody really wants to acknowledge that they're looking for socialization because, you have all of your friends and activities, but at a time in your life when your world gets smaller, a consideration of a move to something like this can actually make it bigger again, and I've seen that happen.
Yeah, I mean, I'll use my poor mom, who recently passed away at the ripe old age of 93 and a half. And when it came time to us trying to figure out who would we invite to a memorial, most of her friends were gone, right? Her world had kept getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and I think her biggest issue was she was lonely, and it was very hard. My brother and I were there all the time, but we can't be her sole entertainment.
Well, and I think you can get tied to the fact that I lived in this home for so long, I cannot fathom not living here,
Yeah.
and that's tied to our independence. But I really strongly, from my experience, believe that you have more control and more choice if you make this decision on your own rather than waiting
Right.
for the crisis time to do that.
I love this. I had an adult daughter that she was more worried about her mom moving to a community than the mom was. And she was just worried sick. And she just didn't know how mom was going to react or adjust. And when I called her maybe a year later, after mom had moved, we'd sold the house, I said, "How's your mom doing?" She says, "I can never get a hold of her. She's never there. She's busy. She's going out. She's doing classes. She's going on trips. I mean, she's riding bikes again. I can't find her. Evidently, she's doing just fine." So that's a happy story.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. Okay, Barbara. So the reasons why someone would choose a life plan over, independent, assisted, what are the main reasons why people come to you?
Sure. I would say my typical resident or future resident is, it's like all of you. You're here because you're planning and you're doing your research. I think that is something that is across the board the case for residents who ultimately choose a life plan community. They're not wanting to leave anything to chance. They don't want their adult children making decisions for them. I have found that the clients who I have that move in at the youngest either took care of their own parents through that aging process, or they didn't, and their parents waited too long. So it's kind of a process that you see like that. So I would say it's definitely a planning type scenario for folks that are making that choice. They want the decisions already made. They already know where they will get that assisted living if they need it, where they will get that skilled nursing, and they want to know that their partner is going to be available to them through that whole process.
Would you say for life plan communities in general, is it more couples or individuals, or about 50-50? That doesn't really come into the picture.
I think it's both. It really is both. I think it's very attractive for couples because, again, if one needs a higher level of care, it's often just not appropriate for a fully independent resident to live in assisted living with a spouse that requires that. So they're able to still be together, have meals together, but they don't have to call the kids to drive them across town at night to visit the family because they're right there. So I would say it's both. The single folks, same. They don't have. They have a lot of companionship and support and friendships there that they thrive with as well.
Thank you. All right, Megan. There is another type of living arrangement, which is a long-term care community. Again, what we used to call a nursing home, right? And Megan started out in working in that area. So we wanted to ask her what the general features of that would be and when somebody would be needing that type of environment.
So a skilled nursing facility is also called a nursing home, or the acronym SNF. And it has a different license than an assisted living or a memory care, because assisted living and memory cares have what is called an RCFE, which stands for Residential Care Facility for the Elderly. But skilled nursings have a different type of license because they can take individuals who have tube feeding or a trach or a stage 3 or 4 wound in that case. And so generally the way you get admitted into a skilled nursing facility is through a hospital after a surgery or a hospitalization. So by the raise of hands, how many of you have had a hip or a knee replacement? Yeah. Yeah. Usually a case manager has access to your insurance to really determine whether if your insurance will be able to allow you and your health to go into a skilled nursing facility. And if your needs are clear to be able to go into a skilled nursing facility. Generally speaking, skilled nursing facilities are covered by either Medicare or commercial insurance, like Blue Cross Blue Shield, Cigna, Anthem Blue Cross are just examples of that. Rarely do patients ever pay private pay in a skilled nursing. I've heard that it's roughly around $900 a day in a skilled nursing facility. And so it's rare to come across patients who are privately paying for them. Because they have a different license, they are required to have registered nurses on staff because obviously there's tube feeding patients, there's trach patients, there's stage 3 patients who have stage 3 or 4 wounds. And they have therapy on staff for patients to rehabilitate. If you are going into a skilled nursing facility, my suggestion would be that you actively discharge plan. You think to yourself, what would happen if my plan is to go home? Will I have caregivers that are on staff at home to be able to care for myself? Will I consider going into an assisted living if my progress doesn't continue? It's very important to think about that because I think that all the panelists here can agree that a skilled nursing facility stay can be very, very fast. So it's important to be very proactive in the skilled nursing facility setting.
I know that placement advisors in general are called to the hospital a lot by the case manager, right? Because they're going to be released and they don't know where they're going to go. So yeah, plan. Very good. Okay, well now we're going to make you switch hats and talk about, again, what a placement advisor in general does, how they differ maybe, or do they all offer the same services, how they get paid. What do you do?
A placement advisor is an individual who identifies independent livings, assisted livings, memory cares, and board and cares, contingent on the needs of an individual. And it's really important to find a placement advisor that respects the journey of the search. Because just like how Barbara said, you know, you're tied to your home. You've lived there for so long, you know, and it shows your independence, right? But I think that as an individual and as a person that is working with you, you want to find someone that respects that journey. Is budget important to you? Is location where your adult children live? Is your care important? Do you speak a certain language? Do you want to bring a pet? Generally speaking, placement advisors are a free service, and the way that we get compensated are through the community. We receive a finder's fee for identifying a community on your behalf.
And can we bring up the 1-800 numbers or the places that you might click on the internet and why you might not want to do that?
I can speak to that.
Do it. Let her rip. Let her rip.
Okay.
Maybe without naming names.
I know. I won't bring up large companies, but we prefer local referral agencies because they have vetted the places that they are sending people to. We know them, they know us, they get feedback from their clients after placement. I know that Megan will follow up with the families to see that they're happy. If you go with a big 1-800 anything, place me, place my mother, they don't typically tour us. They don't know anything about our assisted living. I don't know about the CCRCs if they get out there, but typically we don't see those advisors. It might be somebody that's advising from across the country and just has a list of places and what the price is and what the amenities are, but they don't know the personality of the building, generally don't keep up on our rates, our clientele, our staffing. There are so many assisted livings. I think there are 7,500 in California. There are over 200,000 people that live in assisted livings. So the buildings themselves, although we offer the same things, we are so different. And so there's a place for everyone. And I think that's what's special about a local referral agent. And that's why I refer to my local referral agents when I can't, when I don't have room for somebody, or I don't think that someone's appropriate for my assisted living, I will refer to a local referral agency because I know that they know individually each community that they are referring to and took the time to investigate.
Yeah, that is just so important. One of my best friends started searching, and she was getting nowhere and getting really confused and getting really exhausted. And she worked full time, but she had to find a place for her mother and father. And she made the mistake of clicking on one of those things on the internet. And she started getting bombarded on the phone and in the mail with information on all these communities that most of them would not have even been a good fit because they didn't ever do an assessment of her parents. They didn't know what their needs were or their likes or dislikes or anything. They were just, and then once you click on that, they own you. So she finally called me saying, I don't know why I didn't call you in the beginning. This is what you do. I need help. And I said, well, now that you clicked on that, my local people wouldn't get paid because they've already been introduced right through that service, online service that they're probably somewhere back east or somewhere. So anyway, a word of caution. Okay. And Megan, let's see, did we get all the tips, things to ask? I'm going to send out in your thank you for attending email later this week. I'll send out my list of questions to be considering and ask when touring communities. But are there certain things somebody should be looking for, whether it's assisted or independent or whatever?
So I would, one, schedule a tour with our lovely panelists here. Or executive director, and so that you have the time to answer all the questions, or ask all the questions, and you can get answers to all the questions that you have. Second would be price increases. Ask how often price increases happen. What's the range of increase over the past years, the percentage as well as how many times over the past years. Entry fees, what does that cover? What does the community use the entry fee for? Because like I said before, every community uses their entry fee differently. Longevity of staff, continuity of care is important. I think that everyone can agree that, whoever my grandmother's caretaker really knows that she likes 6 strawberries in the morning or whatever. But continuity of care is very important. Number 5, the complaint procedure. What is the process of what the staff does or what management does in regards to a complaint? What does the staff do? Yelp and Google reviews, I will be honest, I am very guilty of going on Yelp and Google reviews to find the great happy hour, right? But in regards to looking at communities, I would say that please take it with a grain of salt. We're human beings taking care of human beings, and I encourage you that on your tours to ask those questions of what happened, because not every community is perfect. And so I strongly encourage to ask those questions of what you see online.
Awesome. Okay, and I want to make sure we get to all of your good burning questions here too. So my last question would be to Patty. What does a potential new resident need to provide prior to moving in to a community?
That's a very easy question. So everyone that moves into an assisted living needs a physician's report completed by their physician that has an active TB test on it. Megan, you said you provided a link to the...
Yeah.
Yes.
You said an active TB test.
A recent TB test. Sorry. Results. The TB test with the results. And if your physician is not able to provide one, there are many resources. We have, for instance, we have Senior Doc, which is a virtual physician's visit, and they actually, one of their main services is to complete that physician's report so people can get into assisted livings. Sometimes you need to get in there very quickly, and if you have a provider like Kaiser, it may take a really long time to get Kaiser to complete your physician's report because it has to go through medical records. It cannot be completed by your doctor. Sometimes people end up going to the emergency room to get a physician's report completed because they can't get it completed by their doctor in a timely fashion. So there are other resources. I know I will give some more to Dayna, so she'll have those resources for your clients.
Yeah, we can send that out to everybody too.
Yes. Anybody else have suggestions for physician's reports? You need the same thing, Barbara? Yes. Yes. Yes, and that is something, so they're going to,
Well, the physician's report, once completed, is not good for infinity, right? So you do need to make sure that you're updating it. Most communities like it to be between 60 and 90 days to have a really clear snapshot of what's going on or any new medications or any new diagnosis. So you want to make sure that you continue to get that updated. I will say once you get the 602 or the physician's report completed, it's really easy to get it updated.
the state has I think the 6-month guideline for the state, but again, a lot of us have management companies, and based on your diagnosis and your company, sometimes they'll only be good for 30 days to 90 days. But a lot of us, regular assisted living, it's generally just 6 months.
Barbara, you wanted to add something?
I just wanted to add, as far as life plan communities go, they're not all the same. So I kind of jumped ahead when I said ours is inclusive of the long-term care. They aren't all like that. So you'll want to check into that. But to go into this physician's report, because at Stone Ridge Creek, for example, the long-term care is included, the physician's report that you bring, we might ask you to access your medical records for the last few years, because we're paying for your long-term care if you need it. So we might need a little bit more detail even than your physician's report would include. But that is at a minimum we would need.
That's a really good point, because I think as you're hearing, assisted living tends to be a little bit more apples to apples, a little bit more. Although you all have a different flavor and feel and ambiance. It's just like when you're shopping for a home, right? You walk in and it feels like home, or maybe it doesn't, and who knows why. But life plans, CCRCs, they are not all apples to to oranges sometimes. And then some are faith-based and some are for profit and some aren't. And
They need to provide more than one level of care, but in some cases that's included. In some cases it's not. In some cases it's included at a discount. So it's just really important that you identify what's important to you and you do that homework first.
Jenny, did you want to say something?
I just wanted to say, in independent living communities, we do not require a physician's report. We definitely have an application process, a very responsible application process, but we do not require the physician's report.
Hopefully that was helpful. People often don't know that they have to have that before they move in. Before we get to raffles and introducing our education partners and then getting to your questions, is there anything we failed to share today that you want to share before we move on to the next section?
I just wanted to add that the physician's report is widely known by the physicians. Don't feel like you need to go seek out one, although Megan was very kind to give the link. Yes, but a doctor's office will know what it is, especially if you say you were interested in assisted living. The emergency room knows what it is. The hospital knows what it is. We don't send them. They already have them on hand.
We are going to now get to your questions. This is a great opportunity to ask all these wonderful people questions. So here we go. You guys ready? All right.
Hello. I had a loved one at Aegis, which was a very good experience. Aegis had a low-income component at that time where if you qualified, your monthly payment was dramatically reduced. Do they still have that, and do the other facilities have that?
Good question. So Aegis of Moraga, my sister community, does still have the low income program. And you can call me and I can put you in touch, or call Dayna and we can get you in touch with someone. If you have someone that's interested in it, we will help you navigate that system.
Awesome. Thank you.
If I were interested in having advice from a referred advisor, I would feel much more comfortable if that person was not being paid by the place that they were advising me to go to. I'd rather pay myself, because how could I trust that person if that person's being paid for giving me advice to go there?
A brutally honest question. I love it.
So my job is to really understand different communities from different communities. And so we've been in the business for over 25 years. My job is to just make sure that we're finding a community that meets your needs. If you were to walk into a community on your own, like either Tiffany Court or Aegis, it would be the same price that they give you. And I would be giving you that same price. So the experience that I have, and in regards to the experiences that I have with my clients, I share that with you. And so that's truly what I really want for all my clients.
And I think, again, that's the difference between a local person that somebody knows, likes, and trusts. Like, in the end, it really doesn't matter to her which one you choose.
Dayna, can I interject?
Sure.
So for me, for the marketing director for my community, and I think I can speak on behalf of everyone on this panel, we want to work with our local referral agents, like she said, because they're not going to, what we like to refer as spray and pray, which sends you to every single community in the area without really knowing what you need, what the needs are, or that community, but rather that someone who sits down and does take the risk of narrowing it down to maybe 3 communities, and you'll go look at one of them, and then you still might find something on your own and go on your own and find another community without using her services or her referral. But I think the important thing to remember about that is that she is going to be paid by us, but she's also going to do the homework to send you to the best community. And everybody, we're all pretty similarly priced, and we all basically have the same contract, similar to my counterpart here at Tiffany Court with Megan. So it really just comes down to what is the best community for you. And there are times where she may not refer me because you're not going to be a good fit, and she may not refer Tiffany Court or anybody else up in here on the panel. So it's very selective. And again, to Dayna's point, very important to work with somebody local, not someone that you just kind of clicked on and they're going to send you everywhere. They have your best interest in mind.
They know the longevity of the staff, the local placement advisors, turnover, who has what amenities and services, and it does help narrow it down greatly. So, and also they can help with what I call board and care homes too, not just assisted or independent, but board and care, the homes that have the little 6 bedrooms in it that you may have in your own neighborhood. Question?
So I have a mom and a stepdad up in Idaho, and my stepdad fell 3 weeks ago and broke his femur, and then rehab came home. Then my mother had an incident and is now in the hospital and getting ready to go to rehab. And I was thinking I should plan ahead, but with their health changing so rapidly, should I wait until things get worse and then it's more clear where they need to go? Or should I look at some facilities right now and use a placement advisor?
No? Yeah, I was going to say, you beat the next okay.
And you said Idaho, right, Claudia? Okay, and Idaho, which is part of my add-on question, is do you have, can I call you if we need somebody like you in Idaho or?
I really won't get totally involved until I see that probably my mother comes here, if one of them's left and my mother's here. But I'm really totally, I don't want to take someone's time if the situation is changing all the time, a placement advisor's time, if I should really just wait until things are, I'm looking for here. I'm thinking if I need a placement advisor, I would have to contact someone in Idaho.
Ultimately, I think your question is, do you plan ahead and start working with a placement advisor now, or do you wait until they're here and you're ready and needing it? Okay. Yeah.
I would say it's never too early, because if you tour an assisted living or if you tour a board and care, at least you understand the differences of what the services that they have to offer, or a memory care if needed. So that way, in the event of, because a lot of my cases are crisis driven, so I would start now.
So that's Margaret I would contact.
That's me.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, did you have a question? Okay.
I was under the impression that your placement coordinator doesn't get paid unless the person stays at the facility for a certain amount of time. Is that still the case?
Yes, it is. We only get paid once. I'm not sure about others, but we only get paid once. I'm not sure about others.
Yeah. Who had their hand up? Who?
I'll be real quick. I'm just wondering, what agency is it that deals with benefits, veteran benefits?
I have some brochures. It is Patriot Angels, and there are
Patriot
some brochures on the
Angels.
back table. Patriot Angels.
Oh, thank you for bringing those.
You're welcome.
First of all, thank you. That's very informative. If someone is in good health, in general, what's the average age that you have people that are seeking assisted living, or not really for medical use, but they're just ready to leave their home and move into a community?
I would say the average age is about 85, and that's based on statistics from an organization that many of us belong to in California, which is called California Assisted Living Association, and they do a lot of advocacy for seniors in California and federally to keep us affordable, informed. What other things? Yes. And I just wanted to add earlier that you're never bugging us. We love what we do, and if you have questions or concerns, we're always here for you. It's never too early. It's never too late. We're very good at crises, but I don't want you to ever feel like you're bugging us or you're wasting our time. This is what we do all day and love, so you're not wasting our time at all.
That is so awesome. I think the difference about being in crisis is that it's a lot easier for them if they're not in crisis. You guys can handle either way, but to have more peace of mind and to have the time to make thoughtful decisions.
That's correct, Dayna. That's a good point, because when you're in a crisis mode, you don't always get to choose really what you want. You have to choose what is available. And so, to piggyback on what Patty said, we're all available. We all work very closely together as well. We are co-competitors, not competitors, and we will refer and we will help each other out. It's always in the best interest of the seniors in need.
I mean, again, we're heart-driven, right?
100%.
Barbara.
I was going to go back to your age question for a minute, because I think for us on the independent living side, what I see in my experience for life plan independent communities, you start looking in the second half of your 70s. A lot of these services that Jenny was describing too, they're nice to haves, but not necessarily need to have. So sometimes I'll joke and say, you could host Thanksgiving dinner, but you don't really want to do that anymore. You could clean the gutters, but that's not interesting to you anymore. Second half of your 70s becomes about when an independent living community becomes attractive.
Definitely agree. 70s are usually the time we're having these conversations.
I already have mine picked out.
I like to read things, and whenever Dayna has these sessions, I always go out with a lot of questions. Can you recommend a book or a pamphlet or a website where we could, what I'd like to know today is, what kind of questions are you going to ask when we come for a reference? What are the things, I took some notes today, but I'm sure it's not complete. So can you recommend anything for more information?
Is that going to
We
work?
need
Yes.
Mary Ellen on a focus group.
There is a lot of information on the website for California. So California, California Department of Social Services, there is a consumer tab for assisted living, for senior care. It'll say senior care, and you can choose if you're a provider or if you're a consumer. And it'll go over questions you should ask, some information. Also, the organization that we belong to, California Association of Assisted Living, they have consumer tabs and statistics. Some of the statistics that I quoted today are from that website. They do a lot of research for us.
Any other questions? Oh, repeat the first.
So I go under CDLL.
California Department of Social Services.
But there's also, well, I use the old one, and it still comes up. But California Department of Social Services, community care licensing is what I guess, yes. Okay, but under if you put in assisted living in California, the California website will be one of the first ones that comes up, the regulatory body. And on there, if you click on senior care, under the California Department of Social Services, there's a consumer tab. It'll pull up our licenses. It'll pull up questions to ask when you're looking, all kinds of facts for California.
Thank you.
Questions?
Hi. If you inadvertently clicked on one of these 800 consumer placement people, how long do they own you?
For several years, yes. You just don't want to do that. I know it's several years. We don't personally have a contract with them. I'm fortunate that I've been in the area for a long time, so we have a waiting list. We don't need to use any of those services. I prefer to use a local, like I said before, I'm very passionate about using local referral agencies because I think for them to continue to stay in business, for instance, CareQuest that's been in business for a really long time, you have to have a great service. You have to be doing great placements. They also get reviews. So does that help at all? It's about 5 years, so you don't want to click. If you find yourself on one of those, unless you truly want all the information, if you find yourself on one of those, try not to click through, don't give your name.
And to piggyback on that, because it does affect our local partners, there are some communities who have a bi-directional communication with those services. So by that, meaning that if you put a client into your database and you have that bi-directional relationship, it will notify them that they moved into a community. So even if the local partner helped you, they're going to come back and say, we were the ones that referred them. So first, yeah. So we say be very careful about it. A clue that we talked about yesterday when we were discussing this is that if you see anything that says sponsored, stay away from those sites. That means it's going to be a third party redirecting you somewhere else. And that's good to know for anything that you're Googling.
And while you're out there, I hate to say it, sometimes in long-term care, you'll get placed by somebody whose family owns a place down the street. There's an awful lot of bad placements, and so using a referral agent, at least they know the price range you're interested in, they know the amenities that you're interested in, they spend a lot of time at these places researching, they spend a lot of time with you, so we're basically paying for good placements. We're basically paying for good matches. CareQuest will send people to me, even though I have a waiting list, and there's no chance the person will get in at that very moment, crisis moment especially. She'll still refer because she wants her clients to know what's out there. She wants them to be able to compare.
But again, we're not selling CareQuest or anything,
No,
but just
so,
local
any kind
experts.
of local. Yes, we are fortunate in this area that there are a handful of very good placement, I think you can agree, we have a handful of very good placement agencies. They're all different personalities, just like our assisted livings are different personalities, but they do a really good job at placement, and that's why they're still in business. That's why we agree to pay them, because we don't have to use them either.
Okay, we are out of time, but you know what? I want to get your help with one thing. Hold that thought. Okay, wait. I want us to all congratulate Megan, because if you didn't notice, she's going to have a baby. Yes. So she's going to have a little boy, and he's going to arrive into this big world next month? November 7th. So we wish you well. Many blessings to you. So we're just blessed. We're blessed that we have these amazing people here in our community to help people, and that they're willing to give their time and their wisdom to share with you today. So thank you for coming. Hopefully we'll see you in November, December, and next year. And we may be back here. We may not. Stay tuned. We're working it out. So, all righty, go have a great day and stay cool and hydrated.